Joining us now, former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf. Chad, you and I have talked a lot about this. The White House continues to delay the release of government data on deportations. You and I have talked a lot about deportations of criminal illegal aliens. You know, they should have already released it by this time. Are they afraid of the backlash because the numbers are so bad and the numbers have dropped so dramatically? What do you think?
Well, absolutely they are. Again, this is a report that's usually released at the end of December of every year. It talks about the number of arrests as well as deportation that ICE law enforcement officers execute every single year. And they usually publish that in a very timely manner. We're now at the middle of January. And I think it's because what we'll see in 2021 is we're going to see a record low of both arrest and deportations. And that's going to be very hard to explain when you're in the midst of the worst border crisis that we have ever experienced, that you would see record low of both arrest and deportations. And so I think they're going to have a very difficult time messaging, and that's why they haven't put it out yet.
So why delay it? Because we're in a midterm election year. If it's bad, just get the bad news out. What are they waiting for? Besides, it's unclear why sit on the data, because now the criticism is mounting over that.
Well, my guess is they will issue it in the coming weeks, but what they're likely going to do, and I've seen it for the last 11 to 12 months, is they will likely release it on a Friday night pretty late, hoping that it gets buried in weekend news, or they'll release it some other time when there's another announcement, hoping that the vast majority of Americans won't see it, won't question it, and that's kind of how they've been operating for the last year.
You know, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is saying the president refuses to also publicly release information about the number of people caught who are on the terror watch list caught at the border. Is this a big problem?
Well, it is, because the administration's not being honest with the American people. And so what DHS and the administration hide behind is they say, well, that number and that information is classified. Well, again, we're not asking for the nationality or the names of those individuals, but I think the American people need to understand and have a right to know whether we're talking about 5 individuals that have tried to cross that border that are on any number of watch lists, or whether we're talking about 25 people. And there's a big difference between the two. Again, I think it's the administration not wanting to be very public about what their policies are causing on that border every day.
You know, this Minority Leader McCarthy points out the president has been in elected office for more than 40 years, and the closest he ever came to the border is driving by it in El Paso one time. Why wouldn't he go and visit it and know firsthand what's going on? It's the responsibility and problem people say he created with his own border policies.
It's completely inexcusable. There is no legitimate reason that neither the president or the vice president really hasn't gone to parts of the border that are really experiencing the crisis that we're seeing today. It's one thing to have the vice president go to El Paso, which is a major metropolitan city. It's another to go to Yuma or to go to the Rio Grande Valley, McAllen, Brownsville, Laredo, in some of these less populated areas where they're experiencing much more of the crisis. But to not have the president, this is one of the biggest crises facing this country and has been over the last 12 months, just refusing to go to the border at all, refusing to support the men and women in law enforcement. You know, look, I went to the border numerous times, several with the president, several with the vice president. Every time, DHS law enforcement and others around there got a big morale boost from, seeing their president, seeing their commander in chief. And my guess is that the administration is afraid of what they will hear from law enforcement should the president go.
Yeah, and Trump went to the border all the time. He visited the border frequently, even after he left office. I mean, Minority Leader McCarthy says he talked to mayors at the border. We've had border mayors on our show, and community leaders. They have to shut down their schools. And one mayor shut down the schools 46 times in nine months because of car chases from the cartels coming across the border and the shootings. You talk to ranchers where they're seeing their family members getting attacked or kidnapped, threats of kidnapping, their houses or property burned down. Your final word on this?
Well, it's one thing to sit in D.C. to hear about these stories. I can tell you firsthand experience says once you go down there and you talk to all of these individuals face to face and firsthand, you get a different perspective and you care differently about what's going on down there. And so for the president, again, vice president, not to go just shows you that they're not taking this issue seriously enough to carve time out of their schedule to get down there and to meet the law enforcement, the ranchers, and everyone else affected by this crisis.
And what we want to explain to the viewers, the images you saw on camera were of drug and human smuggling cartel members in militarized gear and militarized uniforms. Chad Wolf, thanks for your service to our country. Come back soon. It's great to have you on.